Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the very low quality content you deserve. Now, I say very low because I actually wanted to show off my custom archetype. As of right now, I think the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is theoretically unplayable. The only deck that plays the game is Sky Striker, and it's really hard to just play Sky Striker forever. So I just wanted to do something fun. I wanted to go over my custom archetype and kind of show you how I designed it. And I wanted to show it off because it supports, if you can't see, Geminis. And Geminis, I think, it's like the least supported, I think they're called subtypes in the game. It's like so terrible. Like Geminis are like 3 miles behind unplayable. That's how bad they are. They literally cannot function. They literally just are so slow they cannot function. It's like one of the things that you hear is if you're based too much on everything that you have going right, then it's a bad deck. But Geminis are that. And they're not even good at that. Like, if you're playing with yourself, if you're playing a one-player game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Geminis are still bad. That's just, I can't stress enough how bad Geminis need some real support. So that's why I decided to make this. So, they're called Refracter, which is, the whole theme of it, I guess, is that they're literally warriors made of light. And you can't see them normally, which is why they're Gemini, but when they pass through the portal lens, they become actual warriors, like a prism, which a prism, it takes a ray of light and turns it into a rainbow. But this, it turns a ray of light and turns it into a monster. So, here we go. So, all of them, Geminis have some interesting with them where they might be normal monsters face up or in the graveyard, but they're not normal monsters in the hand. So, I wanted to use that. So, all of them will have this similar effect at the start. So, while it's in your hand, I'll go over Dawn Hunter. You can discard this card, then target one Gemini monster on the field that's treated as a normal monster. It gets its effects until the end phase, and then that's a hard once per turn. So, all of the Refractors have an effect like Necros where you discard them to gain an effect. And it's all like Gemini support. So, anyways, after that effect, it has its Gemini clause. And then, when you go over to its on-field effect, once per turn, you can target one level 4 or lower Gemini monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense, but it cannot gain its effects. Which is like saying its effects are negated, but it can't even try to get an effect. The on-field effects, I tried to make soft once per turns because it's much harder to get Geminis with their effects on the field, so I wanted it to be substantially more powerful. And since it's a Gemini, it's kind of slow to get everything you want. So anyways, to the next one, we got Dust Creep. You can discard it from your hand and then send one Gemini monster from your deck to your graveyard. Hards once per turn. Then we got the Gemini clause, and then it says once per turn you can target one Gemini monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So it's a Foolish Burial on discard, but on field it's a warrior returning alive. Then we got Solar Samurai. You can discard it to add any Gemini monster from your deck to your hand except itself, hard once per turn. So that's pretty cool. And then it's got its Gemini clause. And then its final effect is once per turn, you can discard one Gemini monster, draw one card. So as you can see, despite it being an archetype, it just plays around with all the Geminis. Because Geminis, like I said, they're so terrible that you can give them all insane effects and they just still suck. Like this deck, after vigorous playtesting, I realized it's still not very good. Like, these effects are insane, except they're Geminis. That's how, mind-blowingly slow Geminis are. This makes Geminis playable, but they're still not, unfair, which is crazy to think about. You can discard this card to the graveyard, then target one level 4 or lower normal monster in your graveyard, except itself, special summon it hard once per turn, Gemini Claws, and then once per turn, while it's on the field, you can add one Refracter card from your deck to your hand, except itself. So it's a monster reborn for specific kind of monsters, and then it's a complete Rhoda while it's on the field. Then we got Refracter Life Ray. You can discard it to the graveyard, target 3 non-effect monsters, which can include Geminis, with different names in your graveyard, except itself, shuffle them into the deck, draw one. And then while it's on the field with its effects, once per turn, you contribute a Gemini monster with its effect to bounce a card on the field. And finally, it's just generic Gemini support. If you can give its effect, it's a Foolish Burial and a Rhoda, so that's really good. And this is a monster reborn that gives the Gemini its effects, so that's pretty good. And then Ash Blossom. This field, not only does it allow you to pop, but it gives you 2 normal summons for Geminis, which is really important. Supervise gives them their effects. Soul Charge should be banned. It's the most broken card in this stack. It's kind of funny. Out of all the custom cards I've made, none of them are even close to as powerful as how bad Soul Charge is. This card needs to go. And Refractor's Prism. All Geminis gain 300 attack. All Geminis you control. And then if a Gemini monster is normal summoned while it's already on the field, you can target a Gemini monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So it's kind of got an effect like Dust Creep. But like since they all discard, you kind of want to all back because in the hand they have value. So that's why I added another effect like this. And then Upstart Goblin for consistency, trap cards. And then the only other custom card in the main deck is Refractor's Ray. Infernity Barrier. By banishing one Gemini monster you control with its effects until the end phase. And then if you banished a Refractor to activate this, draw 1 card. It's a hard once per turn activation. So it seems powerful. However, this card is really kind of... a lot has to go right for this to really do well. And there's no benefit to having multiples at a time. So I think this is balanced for what it is. Then we got Refractor Prismatic Swordstress. Now, I'll go over this point. All the XCs, they take Gemini monsters, and they are Gemini monsters. They are treated as non-effect monsters while in the field or in the graveyard. But you can normal summon it on the field to give it its effects. And then, while it's on the field, all Gemini monsters except Prismatic Sortress gain their effects. Well, she has her effect. Once per turn, you can detach material from this card, destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of Gemini monsters you control, which these XCs are actually Geminis. Then we got Prismatic Shaman. Again, the Gemini Claws. While it's on the field, Gemini monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. And hard once per turn, you can detach a material, target a Gemini monster in your graveyard, and special summon it. So yeah, a lot of spamming. Baguska and Tsukiyomi. So all these guys are light pyros because they are rays of light. So I thought that was a really awkward type and attribute lineup, but being light is actually super helpful. And the final custom card in here is Refractor's Lens Portal. Now, it needs 2 monsters, including a Gemini, cannot be used as a link material, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. But if a Gemini any Gemini monster special summoned to a zone it points to gains its effects. So what you do, like a simple thing is if you have Lens Portal, and let's say you use Moonlight Reaper and revive Butterfly. Butterfly, as long as you summoned it into a zone it points to, has its effects, and then you can use it to summon Moonlight Reaper anywhere because Butterfly will give it its effects. So it's a nice little combo you can do. There's a lot of cool interactions with this card. I think it is one of the coolest cards I made, and a bunch of link crap. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I don't really want to make very many videos right now because Yu-Gi-Oh is just so bad right now. Like, I've never ever seen a time when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh where the most extreme of casuals and the most extreme of competitors have all said this game sucks. I've never seen it. This goes to show just how crazy this game is right now. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. And remember, Master Dinner Flags will take your soul.